So ಈ ತಿಂಗಳಿನ ಮಾಡ್ಯೂಲ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ 3.0. As you all know, we have done elements of speaking English in a classroom 1 and 2. So this 3.0 module is the continuation. The facilitators of this module are Michelle, Maria, and myself, Chinmay. I now call upon Michelle to continue this module. Thank you, teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinmay. Namaskar, teachers. Thank you for having us for this training session. ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ಬಿಗಿನ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ರೀಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವಿ learned in the previous months, or what are the topics we have been discussing in the previous months? As you know, we are trying to look at some tools or some elements to help us speak in English. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ ಆರ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ in order to speak English fluently. So in the previous months, we have discussed what are the speaking tools we need to teach a topic. So just like we have TLMs, just like we have a textbook, workbook, in order to help us teach any topic, we also require certain tools, or we need to be prepared with certain tools in order to teach English in a classroom, or teach any topic in English in the classroom. So what are those three tools? We have vocabulary set, that is tool number 1. We have simple questions, and we have simple sentences. In the last few modules, we have looked at simple questions and simple sentences. We have discussed how to build questions and how to build simple sentences. For example, simple questions may be something like this. So if we are teaching parts of the body, a simple question that we can ask in the classroom is, name the parts of the body. However, in our module, we also discuss the use of question frameworks. So what is a question framework? A question framework is a simple question, just like the question on your screen. What organ do we use to see? But in a question framework, we have a keyword. In this question, the keyword is see, for example. Now, what we can do is we can replace this keyword with similar keywords to make more questions. So what organ do we use to see can be replaced by smell, and we can make it what organ do we use to smell. So in this way, question frameworks help us ask lots of questions in the classroom. Then we have simple sentences. So a simple sentence could be, there are many members in your family. So this is a sentence that you could have used in the classroom when you were teaching extended terms of extended family members from the Kalika Kshetra. Now, what about using sentence frameworks? So sentence frameworks is also something that we can use in order for us to create more sentences. So just like question frameworks, sentence frameworks also will have keywords. For example, in this sentence, my grandmother is my father's mother. The keywords here are grandmother and mother. So if we replace these keywords with words from the same category, that is similar words, we can form a new sentence. So here I will replace grandmother and mother with grandfather and father. So the sentence will be, my grandfather is my father's father. So just like this, we have seen how we can use question frameworks and sentence frameworks in order to come up with more questions and more sentences in the classroom. I would request each of you, if you are interested, we can build questions from scratch. We can build sentences from scratch using simple tools, simple principles. So please visit our YouTube channel, where we have our previous modules, that is question building and sentence building, for you, where you can learn how we can probably construct sentences and questions using simple methodologies and simple principles. Now let's come to this month's milestones and learning outcomes. So for grade 4 and 5, we have milestone 9, that is transport, and milestone 10. So milestone 10 says able to develop useful messages for their school premises, example classroom, garden, playground, etc. For grade 6, we have learning outcome 6.8. Students answer coherently in written or oral form to questions in English based on day-to-day life experiences and unfamiliar stories. Then we have learning outcome 7.9 for grade 7, engages in conversations in English with family, friends, and people from different professions such as shopkeeper, salesperson, etc., using appropriate vocabulary. So, in this module, we are going to consider or use some of these LOs to explain the concepts of vocabulary set. So, teachers, a small note for you. You can use whatever principles used in this module for different topics that you have to teach from the Kalika Kshetrake. Now, ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಟೈಮ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ, ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಫ್ಯೂ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ ಈ ಮಾಡ್ಯೂಲ್ಗೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕಲಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ, ಆ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೀವು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ let's look at what are we going to cover in this module. We have three simple sections. One is we are going to be learning what are vocabulary, what is a vocabulary set, and what are the simple categories in the vocabulary set. Then we are going to learn how to integrate or use vocabulary into our questions and sentences. And we are also going to do a speech exercise. We are going to learn how to pronounce and use intonation when it comes to poetry recitation. Now let's begin this module. So e module the topic ಏನಂದ್ರೆ vocabulary set. So what is a vocabulary set and why is it important for us as teachers to understand a vocabulary set and use a vocabulary set? ನಿಮ್ಗೆ vocabulary set ಯಾಕೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ನೀವು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀರಿ, ಅದು ಈ ಮಾಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ. ಸೊ this is what a vocabulary set looks like. So in a vocabulary set we have some basic categories. So any topic that you teach in a classroom will have different sets of words associated with it, right? ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್, ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪಂಕ್ಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್, ಈ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ನೀವು ಆ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ನೀವು ಆ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದೋಸ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್? So you will need to know some words associated with the definition of the topic. You will need to know some words associated with the features of the topic. Then you will also need to know some words related to the examples given for the topic. So when you're familiar with these words, you can teach the topic fluently in the classroom, or you can use English fluently to teach the topic in the classroom. So that is why we call this a vocabulary set. It's a set of words that you need to understand and be familiar with when you prepare for a topic and when you teach a topic in the classroom. And the three categories we have mentioned is, like I said, definition. So in definition, what is the vocabulary needed that to define the topic? So this means what are the words or the phrases, or in a definition, what are the important keywords that you will use to define a topic? Then you have features. So in features, what are the words or phrases that you need in order to talk about the features of a topic, right? Then examples. So examples is, what are some of the examples that we need to talk about a topic? So this ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು template ಆಗಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. So you can use this set as a template for any topic you are teaching from the Kalika Kshetrake, where you have to speak in English in the classroom, ask questions and ask sentences. And creating a vocabulary set can also help you um, use the right words in your questions and sentences while you're teaching in the classroom. So let's do a quick activity. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಮೈಲ್ಸ್ಟೋನ್ 9 ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಟಾಪಿಕ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್, our topic will be specialized vehicles. So let us create a vocabulary set for specialized vehicles. So ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಇದೆ. So I would request teachers, please use your chat feature to type in your answers. What are some of the words that you will use in order to complete this vocabulary set? So first, let's look at definition. What are some of the words that will go under the definition category when it comes to specialized vehicles? So what are words that you can use to define specialized vehicles? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಚಾಟ್ ಮೂಲಕ ತಿಳಿಸಿ, dear teachers. Let's try to think what words or what is the kind of vocabulary that we would go for, that we would use for features. So those would come under examples. Ambulance, fishing boat, fire engine would come under examples. Can we get some words under the features category? What is the vocabulary you would use, or what words would you use to give some features or characteristics about specialized vehicles? Okay, so excellent answers. Thank you so much, teachers, for sharing with us. Yes, so these are the different words that we can use to construct a vocabulary set. So let us just see here. We have constructed a vocabulary set, for the purpose of this module. And of course, so it depends on how you want to what words you want to use in your vocabulary set. Each teacher's vocabulary set might look slightly different. So you might have more examples, you might have more features, your definition might be more complex or less, or very simple. So that depends on what is the kind of vocabulary set you want to develop and how you want to use it in your classroom. So here we have the vocabulary set that we have created. So under definition, we have a simple statement: any machine that transports people, animals or things is called a special vehicle. Here words like machine, transports people, animals or things, and special vehicle are some keywords that we can identify in the definition. Then we have features. So features, we have has wheels, has an engine, has a motor, needs a driver, has a special design. So these are some features. And as some of you have rightly given a lot of input, you can continue to add a lot of features to your features category. And then examples of specialized vehicles: ambulance, police jeep, school bus, bullock cart, cargo ship, fishing boat, so on and so forth. So now that we have constructed a vocabulary set, or we have tried to come up with a vocabulary set for a topic, how can it actually help us in creating questions and sentences? So what is the role of a vocabulary set in helping us create questions and sentences? So let's take a look at that using language tool number 2. Let's learn to ask questions using a vocabulary set. So in the previous slides, we have discussed what a question framework is. So we know that if this is the question framework, do you know what a special vehicle is? There is a keyword, such as in this question, it is special vehicle, and you can replace this keyword with similar words or words from the same category. Now, when it comes to vocabulary set, you can Identify which category the keyword belongs to and replace the word or the keyword from other words in that category. For example, do you know what a vehicle is? Here you can replace vehicle with any word from definition. What has wheels and an engine? Here you can replace wheels and engine with any words from features. Can you tell me what a police jeep looks like? You can replace police jeep with any one or more examples that you like. So let's see how that is done. Here is a question. Do you know what a special vehicle is? Here I have identified that the word special vehicle belongs to my definition category. So now I know that I can replace special vehicle with any phrase or any particular keyword from my definition category. So I can change my question from do you know what a special vehicle is to do you know what any machine that is used to transport people is called? Right? So like that, if I can construct more questions, my questions can be and pick more words from the uh, category definition. I can create many questions like, do you know what a special vehicle is? Do you know what a machine that transports people is called? Now, here is another example from a different category. What has wheels and an engine? Any guesses as to which category these words belong to? Wheels and engine? Which category of words does this belong to? And how can which category of words would I use to replace these two words? You can send us your answers via chat. So I have identified that my keywords belong to features category. So I will replace it with motor. So from what has wheels and an engine, I will ask the question, what has a motor? So dear teachers, this brings us to our first activity. Now, this is a question that the teacher is asking in the class. What has wheels and an engine? Can you help the teacher create more sentences by replacing the keywords in this sentence with keywords from the same category? ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಚಾಟ್ ಮೂಲಕ ತಿಳಿಸಬಹುದು. Excellent sentences, dear teachers. Thank you very much. So here we are able to create a lot of sentences using the vocabulary set. We're able to create a lot of questions using the vocabulary set. ಈ principle ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ easy ಆಗಿ ಕಾಣಬಹುದು, but we can use this principle of vocabulary set and words and replacing keywords in questions and sentences as a tool to create good sentences and good questions in the classroom.
So now let us look at learning outcomes 6.9, which tells us about antonyms. Here we're going to look at activity 1.1, where we explain antonyms to the students with examples. Like Michelle has taken us through the 3 different language tools. One is to familiarize ourselves with the vocabulary set. Iga now with antonyms as a topic, iga vocabulary now develop ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ antonyms the definition ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ the words that have opposite meanings are called antonyms. So and the features category have words that are opposites, are verbs, adjectives, common nouns, etc. And examples category ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ we have in, out, fast, slow. This is a very extensive list, and the list can go. Now looking at the next language tool, that is to ask some questions. Now here are a few examples of questions using vocabulary from the different categories that we had created. Basically a definition category, features category, and the examples category. Now, do you know what an antonym is? Name some words that are opposites. What is the antonym of in? Illi nodidre all the highlighted words are keywords which can be replaced from other categories. Do you know what an antonym is. Here, the word antonym is a part of the definition category. Name some words that are opposites. Here, words that are opposites are from the features category. What is the antonym of in? Idu bandu examples category in the we have used it. Now, let us do an activity to frame questions by replacing keywords from the correct category. Iga ನಾವು ಇದೇ questions in the keywords replace ಮಾಡಿ with the same category we'll replace it and we'll form new questions. Teachers ನೀವು ಈಗ chat box ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. Excellent questions, dear teachers. Now, let's move on to the third tool. Now, we saw the first tool is to develop different categories and vocabulary from the categories. Tool number 2, we saw how to frame questions. Now, the language tool 3 is let's speak some simple sentences. Now, these are some examples of sentence framework. The first sentence, antonyms are words that are opposites. Now here, if you look at the highlighted words, these words are taken from the definition category. Antonyms are verbs and adverbs too. This sentence is formed by using keywords from the features category. Hot is the antonym of cold. Here, hot and cold are examples of antonyms. Now, let us look at how we can replace these words from each category and form one new sentence. ಈಗ first sentence ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ antonyms are verbs and adverbs too. ಇದು ಬಂದು features category ಇಂದ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು. So we can replace it with other words from the features category. Like for example, we can say we can replace them with adjectives and prepositions. So we can say antonyms are adjectives and prepositions too. Now, fast is the antonym of slow. Idu bandu examples category inda ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು. Here you can say hot is the antonym of cold, where hot and cold are examples are from the examples category. So these are the new sentences that we created by replacing the different words from the categories. So here we have framed a sentence by combining one or more category. So here we say antonyms are words that are opposites. Antonyms are from the word antonym is from the definition category, and words that are opposites are from the features category. Now, similarly, black and white are adjectives that are opposites. Idu bandu example category matte features category combine ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು sentence ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು. So black and white are adjectives that are opposites. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ beginning and end are examples of antonyms. These are examples and these are words from the examples category. So with this we come to the end of 6.9. Now I'll hand it over to Chinmay, who will take us forward.
Thank you very much, Maria ma'am. That was a great session. As ma'am did LO6 learning outcome 6.7, I will go ahead and do learning outcome 6.8. This learning outcome states that students answer coherently in written or oral form to questions in English based on day-to-day life experiences and unfamiliar stories. So this LO or learning outcome will be around poems, stories or role plays. So ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋಣ poems, stories ಮತ್ತೆ role play ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. This is about this module, or this session is about that section. So now more steps ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ to identify the topic. Step 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ one will have to read through the story, poem or role play dialogues. Step 2 ನಲ್ಲಿ we will have to underline any words that are related. After this, we have to ask ourselves these questions. If you are reading a story, you have to ask yourself, what did you learn from this story? If it is a poem, what is the main idea the poet is trying to express here? If it is a role play, what is the main idea the characters are talking about here? So once you ask yourself this question, and the question is different for story, poem, and role play, what answer you will give that question will be your topic. Now let's see how this we can implement step 1, step 2, and step 3 to a story and a poem. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ರೈಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಿರ್ಬಹುದು. This is a story excerpt from the textbook. It is about Neerja Bhanot. So let's go ahead and you do all the 3 steps to this story. So step 1 is to read through the story. I will now start reading the story. Neerja Bhanot joined Pan Am Airlines in 1986. She was the senior flight purser on the ill-fated Pan Am Flight 73. This flight was hijacked by 4 heavily armed terrorists after it landed in Karachi at 5 a.m. from Mumbai. PA-73 was en route to Frankfurt and onward to New York City. Neerja alerted the cockpit crew about the hijack. As the plane was on the tarmac, the 3-member cockpit crew of pilot, co-pilot, and the flight engineer were able to flee from the aircraft. Neerja, being the most senior cabin crew member on board, took charge. So now that we have read through the story, the step 2 is to underline any words or concepts that are repeated. So first now story ಓದಿದೀವಿ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ these are some the highlighted words you see in your screen are related. Flight was hijacked, heavily armed terrorists, Neerja alerted, crew about the hijack, Neerja took charge. So these are some related terms, but a story can have maybe other terms that are also related. For example, the pink words that are highlighted: Pan Am Airlines, Pan Am Flight 73, senior flight purser, cockpit crew, cabin crew members, plane. You can now see there are 2 sets of interrelated words. So depending on how you want to teach the topic, you can choose. If you want to teach it, if you want to show bravery as the topic here, you can use that as the topic of this story, or you can use the topic as airplane professionals. So just to sum everything up, step 1 we have to read the story. Step 2 we have to underline words and concepts. And step 3, once we underline these related words, we have to see what we learn from all this, and that answer will be our topic. So teachers, ivaga neevu ee tarane similar one activity ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ this is the poem Sympathy from the textbook. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಿರಬಹುದು ಇವಾಗ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇವಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ you have to identify the topic of this poem. So you will have to ask yourself, what is the main idea the poet is expressing here? You have 2 minutes to do this activity. You can follow step 1, 2, and 3. Let me repeat for the final time. Step 1 ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ poem ಓದಬೇಕು. Step 2 ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ related words ಮತ್ತೆ concepts underline ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Finally, in step 3, you have to ask yourself, what is the main idea the poet is expressing? That answer will be your topic. So teachers, your time starts now. You have 2 minutes. Please follow the steps and tell us the topic of the. Very good answers, teachers. Thank you for your wonderful answers. Let us now go ahead and familiarize ourselves with the 3 language tools related to this poem. So as Maria ma'am and Michelle ma'am have talked about, Language tool 1 is vocabulary set. Language tool 2 is question framework. Language tool 3 is sentence framework. Ivaga now language tool 1 nodana related to this poem. Illina, as you can see, there is the definition of sympathy, features of sympathy, and examples of sympathy. So I will quickly just read through this so that we just get familiarized. Sympathy is a kind understanding and concern for others when they are sad, suffering, or having trouble. Idu definition ಆಯ್ತು. ಇವಾಗ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ feeling of compassion, caring for another person's pain, fortune or grief, feelings of support for an individual or situation. These are features. And the examples are showing concern when someone dies, showing concern when someone is hurt or injured, feeling sad for someone's loss. This will become our basic language tool 1, our vocabulary set, with 3 categories: definition, features, and examples. Now in the language tool 2, let's learn to ask some questions. The first question that you see to your left, what is caring for another's pain called? Idralli caring for another's pain is highlighted. It is highlighted because that phrase is taken from the features category. The second question, what is sympathy? Sympathy is taken from the definitions category. The third question to the left, what are some of the examples of sympathy? Again, sympathy, the word sympathy is highlighted. It is taken from the definitions category. How can you show concern when someone dies? Is taken from the examples category. So this becomes our question framework. That is language tool number 2. Finally, language tool number 3, let's speak some simple sentences. Here we have, as Maria ma'am showed us, a combination of categories. We have made simple sentences by using 2 or more categories. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ left hand ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ sentences ಕಾಣ್ತಿರಬಹುದು. Those sentences are made by taking words and phrases from 2 or more categories. So first sentence is, sympathy is having feelings of compassion or caring for another person's pain. So this is from the definition category and the features. The second sentence is showing concern when someone dies, is an example of sympathy. This sentence is a combination of examples and definition category. Finally, the third sentence, which is sympathy is a kind understanding that is shown through caring for another person's misfortune or grief, is a combination of the definition category and the examples category. Now, teachers, we have an activity for you where you have to create sentences by using by combining the categories and using the words and phrases. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ 3 categories ಒಳಗಡೆ ಪದಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ phrases that you see, you will have to use them and create sentences. Teachers, you have 2 minutes. Kindly put up your results in the chat. Your time starts now. Wonderful answers, teachers. When do we show sympathy for others? Features related. Yes, ma'am, exactly. Showing concern to those who are in grief. Wonderful. Sympathy is caring to an unknown person. Wonderful. So let me just sum up this activity by making a sentence of my own. Sympathy is a feeling of compassion, such as showing concern when someone is hurt. So in this sentence, what I have done is I have taken some words from definition category, some words from features category, and some words from examples category and made a sentence. Let me just repeat that again. Sympathy is a feeling of compassion that is shown to someone who is hurt. Moving on now that we have understood how to create a topic of a poem, role play, or a story, let's now understand how we can come up with a vocabulary set for a particular topic. So vocabulary set, as we already know, has definition, features, and examples. This also has 3 steps. So let's, in the step 1, we have to pick the category. Category nalli namge definition ide, features ide, examples. Let's pick the category definition. So how will we make a definition for a particular topic? Now, if the topic is vehicles, then we can Google this definition of vehicle. All you have to do is go to google.com and add the topic or the keyword of the topic in the search bar. You will have to pick the search result with the simplest sentences, words that you can use in the class. So for example, if you don't find something that is simple enough, then what you can do is you can add the word simple or for kids to your search query. Andre ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಆವಾಗ you don't have to say definition of vehicle, you can say simple definition of vehicle or definition of vehicle for children, for kids. If the words then even then aren't simple enough, you can pick the relevant words from the textbook. So step 1 is to go to Google and find a simple definition with simple keywords. Step 2 is to see if you can add to these keywords that you have already picked, if you can add more relevant words from the Kalika Chetrika textbook or the teacher handbook under each category. So now ಇಲ್ಲಿ right hand ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇದು listening and speaking activity ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ you can see that these words in yellow have been highlighted. Vehicle have been highlighted. But to add relevant words to these, now if you can see, there is the encircled words: 3 wheels, cycle, engine, boat. Now these will become relevant words. So this will come to your vocabulary set. It can be your features or it can be your examples. ಈ ತರ step 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ first you have to define that topic and then add relevant words, and finally in step 3, once you have all definition, features and examples, you can start using questions, words. You can ask questions using words from each category of the vocabulary set, and you can also speak sentences using a combination of words from the different categories. So now we have finished understanding how to create a topic, how to find a topic for poems, stories and role play, and how to also create a vocabulary set for the poem, stories or role play. I now hand over the module to Maria ma'am, who will give us a quick speech.
Since Chinmay has discussed the poem Sympathy, let's learn how to recite it. Iga ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, if you can repeat this after me, ನಾನು one line ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, nan ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು just repeat ಮಾಡಿ, is just to show how to recite this poem called Sympathy. I lay in sorrow, deep depressed.
I lay in sorrow, deep depressed.
My grief a proud man heard.
My grief a proud man heard.
His looks were cold.
His looks were cold.
He gave me gold.
He gave me gold.
But not a kindly word.
But not a kindly word.
My sorrow passed.
My sorrow passed.
I paid him back the gold he gave to me.
I paid him back the gold he gave to me.
Then stood erect and spoke my thanks.
Then stood erect and spoke my thanks.
And blessed his charity.
And blessed his charity.
Thank you, dear teachers. Now over to Michelle.
So dear teachers, we are coming to almost to the end of the module. But before we finish, we have one particular LO to focus on. Our LO dali namge ಒಂದು activity ಇದೆ, and let us learn how to use a vocabulary set in order to help us conduct this activity. So learning outcome 7.9 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ objective ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ? Objective is engages in conversation in English with family, friends and people from different professions such as shopkeeper, salesperson, etc. using appropriate vocabulary. ಈ LOದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ vocabulary ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಗೋಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು? So let's look at an example of an activity from this LO. ಈ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾನ್ವರ್ಸೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾನ್ವರ್ಸೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬ್ಲರಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಹೌ ಡು ಯು help the children use vocabulary while conducting the activity conversations in the classroom. So let's take an example of this particular activity from LO 7.9, activity 3.2. Write the conversation between the vendor and the customer. ಈ activity description ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು activity description ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ರೈಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ perform ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೇನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. So let's see how you can provide the correct sentences and questions for this conversation for the students in order for them to do this activity as well as develop their vocabulary. So how do we conduct conversations? Adanu first nodva. First is we choose the topic. In the textbook, there are a lot of conversation topics and examples. You can pick which topic suits your classroom the best according to what is given in the teacher handbook, or you can also pick a topic that you want the children to practice. Second is, let's create a vocabulary set for that topic. ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ LOs ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿ ಇಟ್ ಆಂಟೋನಿಮ್ಸ್, ಸ್ಪೆಷಲೈಸ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬ್ಯುಲರಿ ಸೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಅಸ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್. ಅದ್ರ ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬ್ಯುಲರಿ ಸೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ once you create the topic, then you can figure out the definition, features and examples for that topic. Chinmay has also taken us through the different steps that we can use, or different tips that we can use to develop the vocabulary set. Let's take an example of vendor and customer. So if this is my topic, let me create a vocabulary set. So just in the interest of time, because we're almost coming to the end of the module, then not to take up too much of your time, let me just create a vocabulary set for vendor. So if I'm creating a vocabulary set for vendor, this is what my vocabulary set will look like. So the definition of a vendor, the features related to the vendor, and the examples of the types of vendors. So definition of a vendor is any person who is selling a product. The features of a vendor is they are selling items, they have fixed prices for each item, and they are willing to bargain. The examples of vendors are fruit vendor, vegetable vendor, and so on, so forth. ಇದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು? ಇದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು you need to generate phrases with using the vocabulary set. So create questions and sentences that you think can be used in the conversation between the characters of the topic that you have decided. So just like we have gone through in this module of creating or using the vocabulary set to help us create questions and sentences, you can generate questions and sentences with the vocabulary set that you have created. And once you do that, you can have the children practice the questions and sentences as a dialogue or conversation. So let's see how that works out. So we have created some questions and sentences for the topic vendor and customer using the vocabulary set for vendor. So let's see how this goes. So the questions customers asking is, what is the product you are selling? The vendor says, I am a fruit vendor. Customer says, what are the fixed prices for the mangoes? The vendor says, rupees 30 per kg, but I am willing to bargain. So idರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಈ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಕೀ ಫ್ರೇಸಸ್ ಇದೆ, vocabulary set ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿದೆ. So we can use the vocabulary set here to help us use good vocabulary in our questions and sentences. ಹೀಗೆ ನೀವು vocabulary set ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. You can use it for activities like this in your classroom. You can also help children come up with more vocabulary using this vocabulary set, and also you can use it for different types of topics in the class, not just probably the topics that you have to teach, but also the role plays, stories, poems, different activities that you are doing. So teachers, this is the end of our module. Thank you very much for patiently bearing with us and sitting with us through this module.